Next to the Ignite Learning stage is a guy who enjoys riding our local bike trails, writing chapter books for young readers, and performing on stage. He performs in theatrical productions, Nerd Night at Zeitgeist Theater, and in a one-man rock band called Zeb or Zeke and the Runaway Screamings. It's very intriguing. Here's his story, Incurable Curiosity, by Luke Moravec.
I don't get the Reuben sandwich. I love it, but I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. If you look at all the ingredients in the Reuben sandwich and you consider how many restaurants, even just in Duluth, have the Reuben sandwich on their menu, all I can do is picture their kitchen, and I picture a whole bunch of sauerkraut just sitting there waiting for somebody to order a Reuben sandwich. Or a big loaf of rye bread just sitting there with nothing else to do but waiting for somebody to order a Reuben sandwich. Or a big pile of corned beef waiting for somebody to order a Reuben sandwich. Because none of these ingredients go on anything else on any menu that I've seen. It's pretty ridiculous. And if you take into consideration that all these ingredients come from different parts of the world, vastly different parts of the world, rye bread, which comes from Germany, Swiss cheese, that should be obvious. You've got sauerkraut, which actually comes from China 2,000 years ago. It originated when they were building the Great Wall of China. And you've got Thousand Island dressing, which, as I found out, doesn't come from Polynesia at all, but actually comes from Canada. And they've all somehow come together. These 5, if you'll forgive me saying so, awful ingredients have come together to make a fantastic sandwich that people, restaurant owners, seem to house, and they're okay with that. It's so interesting to me. Who would win in a battle royale of all the cereal box characters out there? I ask people this a lot, and what I've found is that the most common answer is Tony the Tiger. I think people see his athletic ability, and they think that Tony the Tiger would be the best one for it. I urge you to reconsider if you're in the Tony the Tiger camp, because you've got Captain Crunch up there. He's got a lot of military experience. You've also got Count Chocula. Perhaps there's an undead thing going on there. Who knows? And also, I think that Tony the Tiger probably does get that alpha look right away. Everybody gang up on him right away. But that's just my thoughts on the matter. The exit sign. You've seen this before, but have you ever seen the house that is hidden in an exit sign? Let me show you. Check it out. That is totally a house, and it's always been there. Now you'll never be able to not see it. It's got a pointed roof, a front door, and everything. Okay, so when are we going to get our first Star Wars-themed professional sports team? I don't really care when it happens, but it seems like it's inevitable. I don't really want it to be the Gungans, although I have to admit that this is a vast, vast, vast improvement from the mascot that the Washington, D.C. sports team is currently, yes, exactly. But it seems a little weird that we don't have a Star Wars-themed one yet. As we look at other film franchises, let's look at the mid-'90s, early '90s when Jurassic Park came out. Well, shortly thereafter, the Toronto Raptors came into existence. And of course, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, the NHL team, is spurred from the Mighty Ducks franchise. And yeah, these are film franchises, the Mighty Ducks and Jurassic Park, but they're not nearly as big as Star Wars. So where's our Star Wars sports team? I present to you the state of Maine. In high school, I didn't think Maine existed. I'll explain why. I had never been to Maine. I had never met anyone who had been to Maine. It's not on the way to anything, really. Did it exist at all? Later on in life, I started to read a lot of Stephen King novels. Now, he places his story a lot in the state of Maine. Not always, but very, very frequently. Now, he is a fiction writer. He is a sci-fi, fantasy, horror writer. Did he simply make up the state of Maine? And he's having a laugh on account of all of us. Are there really only 49 states in the Union, and he just made up Maine? I've been there, and I'm still not convinced. Don't drink and drive. Pretty simple. It's something that's still on the TV nowadays, and it was on the TV when I was a kid, too. And so I took it quite literally, because one time when I was driving with my dad, he was driving, of course, because I was like 5, and he took a drink of water that he had with him. And I said, Dad, don't drink and drive, because I took it literally, of course. And it was at that point that I learned a little bit about what alcohol can do to your system, et cetera, et cetera. But this still made sense to me. Don't drink and drive. Because if you've got a glass and you're driving and you tip your head back, you suddenly can't see the road. And this made further sense because every drive-through you go to, you get a straw. So you can drive and drink at the same time without it being a problem. Back to sports. sports is in part a little bit about deception, right? You've got the curveball, it's meant to deceive the batter. You've got fake punts in football. So I'm kind of wondering, have professional sports teams ever employed illusionists or magicians or sleight of hand artists to kind of help with this deception factor in their game? Do they ever try to improve themselves by talking to somebody like this and saying, hey, what can you do to help us out with this play or this play? If not, they should really get this guy right here on the payroll. There are a lot of cool sentences in the English language. I've been exploring it a lot, but this is by far my favorite one. It goes like this: ed, 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 ed. Ed, 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 ed. Ed, 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 ed. You won't be able to stop saying that on your drive home tonight. Ed, 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 ed. If you got a better sentence in the English language, let me know. Sometimes think about what my purpose on this earth is, and every once in a while I get into kind of a downward spiral because I start thinking that maybe my purpose is something that doesn't exist yet and it won't exist in my lifetime. Like maybe I was born too early and I'm supposed to be the best laser golfer in the world. Now, it won't exist for another 200, 250 years, but maybe that would have been the thing that I would have been best at. And maybe it's not just me either, because, perhaps there's some fella in the Australian outback, and he's just built to be the best bobsledder in the world, but he just doesn't know it. How many of these things have just been missed, either by time or space or whatever? And this goes beyond, what we might be good at athletically or professionally too, because what if Charlie Chaplin and the first president of Mars was supposed to have been the greatest love story ever in the history of the universe, but they just missed each other by a couple of centuries and by one planet over? Maybe these kids right here, they're gearing up for 80 years from now when the 100-meter crab walk is actually going to be an Olympic event. And if you're laughing at that, the 100-meter crab walk, that'll never happen, I present to you the butterfly. The butterfly is so ridiculous to me. It's an inefficient way to swim, yet we give out gold medals for this. It's so silly. There's only one reason to learn the butterfly, and that's to do it competitively. Olympic sports are born from who can run the fastest? Okay, I get it. Who can jump the highest? I get it. Who can lift the most? I get all that stuff. The butterfly, I don't get. Okay, I got amped up for a second there, so let's look at some cats. Here's a cat. Here's another one. So the human body apparently needs about 2,000 calories a day, for a diet and whatnot. I'm curious, how many calories does a cat need? Have you ever thought about that? As far as I know, my cat needs one handful of dried food every day. That's not a scientific amount. It's certainly not a calorie amount, but that's how much my cat gets. I don't know if she's getting the appropriate calories in her diet. One handful? Too much of an estimation for me. At some point in our lives, all of us, and I love this idea, we were all of us at one point the youngest person in the world. Even if it was just for a fraction of a second, we were the youngest person in the world. That's kind of cool. Some of us, if we are lucky enough, we might become the oldest person in the world. It's possible. Not many of us, but some of us might get there. The question is, when are we the middlest person in the world? And this isn't, I'm not talking about an average age here, because that's not what we're going after, and that's not going to get us to the answer. I'm talking about that moment when there are exactly as many people younger than us as there are older than us. It'd be really great if they built this into the Fitbit, where there's suddenly the little fireworks went off and it said middleist, and you were like, oh my gosh, this is my moment. And it's gone. I love Scooby-Doo. I don't love the fact that so many people misunderstand it. For example, and I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling kids. The original Scooby-Doo Where Are You television show had 25 episodes, aired from 1969 to 1971. There was exactly one villain that said that out of 25. I don't know if it kind of retroactively took effect or something. If people just loved that line, they latched onto it, and then they started to say it ironically. I don't quite get it, but in the first 25 episodes, the entire first 2 seasons, it was said once. It boggles my mind. So all these are, questions or things that might spur more questions, but I don't want to kind of go on about what my central thesis is too much. I actually want to share something that a third grader in my after-school program wrote. And this was totally unprompted. She just wrote this one day and she handed it to me. To be a child means to have an open mind. As an adult, your brain sort of closes off your imagination. Nothing in my eyes should be impossible. Improbable, sure, but impossible? Really? One word can make imagination die, and that's it. See something differently. See something in a whole new light. Unlock the doors to your imagination and let it take flight. Never lock it up again. So I guess, to sum it up, it's that true learning comes from engaging curiosity. Thank you.